Hello, I'm Liam Dann, New Zealand Herald Business Editor at Large, and welcome to a new season of Money Talks. This is a podcast about money. But we're not going to tell you how to get rich, and we're not going to try and pick the next interest rate move. In this series, I talk to interesting New Zealanders about how money has shaped their lives and what they've learned about it over the years. Today, it's a first for the podcast. We're joined by two siblings who are on a mission to get people to eat healthier and better without breaking the bank. They're known as the Two Raw Sisters, and it's a pleasure to welcome Margot Flanagan.
Hello.
And Rosa Powers.
Hey there.
Hey, kia ora, and welcome to Money Talks. Can I start by getting you to explain what you do as if you were telling a child?
Oh, okay. We redefine how people look and think about health and well-being. So we feel that well-being is very overcomplicated, it's very complex, it's very confusing and overwhelming. And we try and simplify the complex by making small achievable changes and habits that you can maintain and enjoy to live better and feel in control.
Cool. And it's about, at its core, it's about food, right?
Yes, yep. So we have 5 best-selling cookbooks. We have one of the world's top-ranked recipe and wellness apps, and Rosa and I do lots of talks around New Zealand and Australia. We have our own podcast, Two Raw Sisters podcast, so we have lots of different platforms where we share this message.
Yeah, I saw you both podcasting now through iHeartRadio. So what inspired that move to sort of put it all out there?
For us, we wanted to do a longer format way of educating people.
Just talk shit, really.
Yeah, and to talk shit. But obviously social media these days, it's so quick and people have such a short attention span, whereas podcasts give us a chance to, we love to talk, so to talk for longer. And also, as Margot said, it's pretty much a way for us to catch up in amongst the hecticness of work and life.
And talk about these complex topics that actually don't have to be that complex. And we like to have a laugh about things that can be quite serious to kind of just show people that, hey, this actually doesn't matter, and just have a laugh about it and continue on your day.
Sure. Well, look, I'll come back to some of that stuff, but just to get started on the money thing, do you want to try and describe what sort of money personality you think you have, and are you different as sisters?
We are definitely very different.
Well, I do want to say we're definitely both driven by money, and I think we've been brought up with that in terms of, for us, owning our own business. Obviously, we see in terms of success as bringing in a certain amount of revenue, and that's what drives us to do what we do. Obviously, we have a passion for helping educate people, but also at the end of the day, we've got to make money to be able to live a lifestyle that we want to live ourselves. But in terms of away from that and individually, I'm definitely...
Rosa's a spender.
No, I'm not. I'm a spender but a saver. If I want something, I'll go and get like the highest quality, item of that product. I won't skimp on that. And if I've got in my mind that I want to buy it, I'll buy it.
Does that mean that you're the more conservative one, Margot?
Yeah, I'm definitely the more conservative one. I think I like to look at money as a freedom piece, I suppose. Like I like to know I've got money there, so if I want something, I can get something, but I'm definitely someone to think on a purchase rather than just going and buying.
As in, like, think for a year or two.
Until I really need it. And then I'll go and buy it.
So, Rosa, you're the eldest, is that right? By is it 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, by about 2.5 years.
Can I start by maybe getting what are your first memories of money in your life or in your family's life, looking right back?
Yeah, so for me, I vividly remember, so I used to be a thumb sucker, and like majority of kids, we don't really have a whole lot of an idea around, the value of money and how we necessarily earn money. And
I think, sorry, just butting in, we came up from we were brought up in a privileged upbringing where money was never an issue, or mum and dad never expressed their money concerns to us. So if we wanted something, it was always there.
Yeah.
But our parents created their own wealth, and they worked hard. Like Dad was always working in the weekends, and we saw him work those long hours to create that lifestyle that he desired and that he desired for his children and to bring us up in, which was, I think, a lot of the reason why, you know, our success or our driver for work is money, as well as obviously enjoying what we do and have that passion.
So what did your parents do?
Dad is a real estate agent, and Mum helped Dad in his business.
Yep.
His business.
Cool. And we got to get back to that thumb sucking story, because you can't leave that hanging.
Yes. So I was a thumb sucker, and Dad had said to me, I was getting to about the age of 10, and Dad had said, right, Rosa, I reckon we can hit this on the head and get rid of the thumb sucking. And he said, I'll give you $100 if you stop sucking your thumb. And me, money being a key driver for me, pretty much stopped sucking my thumb within a week. And I got given my $100 note. And that was like, I've just won lotto.
A lot of money in those days.
A lot of money. And I vividly remember...
Like $1 million when you're that old.
Yeah. And same thing, the age that I am now, when I know I want something, I'll go and buy that thing. And I knew that I wanted a pram. And so I got Mum took me to Toy World, and there was this pram hanging off the ceiling. And I said, I want that pram. And so I went up with my $100 note and walked out with my pram. And honestly, I was so chuffed.
What a great purchase. And so
my big ticket purchase.
Yeah, well, you guys were growing up in Canterbury or Christchurch, is that right?
Yeah, just out of Christchurch and Rolleston.
Oh yeah, cool. So was it a sort of semi-rural lifestyle, I guess?
Yeah, we were, Mum and Dad were still there. They're on like a 10-acre block, so lots of animals, which was really fun.
Yeah. So Margot, what's your first memory of money in your life?
Well, I think, for me, as I mentioned before, money was never a worry as a child. So it was always Mum and Dad encouraging us to do sport activities or, get out there and do what we really enjoyed rather than going and getting a little dairy job or something. So I think I was very fortunate enough in my upbringing to not have that money stress, if you like. Everything felt safe. But I think when I got older, I wanted to have my own sense of purpose or my own sense of income, my own income. So I definitely wanted to get out there and work. So I did a weekend job at the markets. I did at a stall. I was selling salads, believe it or not. Wasn't even into food then. So, I always wanted to be earning my own pocket money rather than relying on Mum and Dad for that security feeling.
So you both had part-time jobs like that. Rosa, were you the same with the getting out and working?
I actually would spend some weekends with Dad and go to his open homes and help him go and put signs up and go to some meetings with him. So that was my kind of first job. But going right back as well, Margot and I, we again didn't realise we had a passion for food, but we went to like the Christmas parades and we'd make things and sell them. Like we were quite innovative in that way. We would, do something to then sell and then get that pleasure of, we've just earned this money that we can then save and put away for something special. And I think again, a lot of that we're fortunate enough to learn from our parents, that whole, you've got to earn what you've got to earn the money that or the lifestyle that you desire. And that doesn't just get given to you. You actually have to work hard to get that.
Yeah. You both mentioned food already. So I mean, how early was that passion for food and healthy food?
Definitely wasn't healthy food. I remember at the Christmas parade we sold, I don't know if you remember Spiders. It was ice cream and fizzy in a cup. I think we sold them for about $2. And again, like
Didn't
mum,
look at Mark up there, did
no, but mum and dad would support us. Like, honestly, they probably thought we were just crazy, but they'd come along with us and, fill the car up with us and help us buy all the cups and the fizzy and the ice cream.
Seems like you're always quite entrepreneurial, though. So there's always a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit there.
Definitely. Well, again, like that whole, if you want it, you got to go figure it out yourself.
I hadn't thought about the spiders in a long time. But you're right. We were always creating something. And interestingly enough, it was always together. But when we got older and like your question, when we got into food, we actually never, we weren't the best of friends then when we grew up. But I think it was both of our health issues that got us into food, or that made us realize the overall benefit and importance of food. And that's when, I suppose, being older and more mature, we actually thought, okay, let's turn this into a business.
Sure. I mean, at school, was that sort of thing a focus at school when you were picking subjects and all that sort of stuff? Were you thinking about business or making money?
I didn't even know what I wanted to be a real estate agent like my dad.
I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Right, yeah.
So business, like we never took commerce, we never took whatever the other business subjects
I took
are.
accounting.
Yeah, see, I was more science and art.
Yeah.
You talked about food and health there. What were your relationships with food like during that time, growing up, teenage years, all that sort of stuff?
Not great. I think as a lot of female teenagers, well, any female will relate to, or male, yeah, very confusing, very overwhelming, and calorie restriction or body image. You can always be better and look better and eat better. So we were both kind of in the depths of our illnesses. I had chronic fatigue and endometriosis and a bit of an eating disorder, and Rosa had a eating disorder and a training obsession, condition called RED-S, which is relative energy deficiency in sport. So Rosa was very underweight, and I suppose we were both kind of sucked into that eating disorder realm, that vicious cycle. So our relationship with food was terrible.
Yeah, Rosa, you were an athlete, or you were training for high level sports, or?
Yes, yeah. So I was a middle distance runner for about 8 years, representing New Zealand all over the world. So it was an incredible experience, and I went to so many amazing places. But unfortunately, I went down the pathway of being obsessed around training, which is super common in the world of sport, because you've got this end goal and you will do everything and anything to reach that end goal. But I was lucky enough that I got myself out of that situation when I did. And it's got to Margot and I to where we are with Two Raw Sisters, and our passion for helping educate other people and show them that it actually, you can be kind to yourself, and your body needs to be valued, and it's your unique self that you shouldn't compare to anyone else.
And it's interesting with Rosa's sport mindset. It's very similar in a business money sense, like very strict, focused, end goal. Like Rosa's probably maybe more slightly the more money driven one out of the two of us, and is more strict on a goal. She wants to get here, she'll get there. Whereas, it's interesting.
It correlates very well.
Growing up with her, seeing that mindset shift between sport and business and money.
Yeah. You mentioned not being, like the best of friends necessarily as you're growing up. I mean, that's probably pretty normal actually for siblings. When do you, how did that sort of change, and how did the working together come about?
We both hit rock bottom. I was, 19, Rosa was 21. And I think we both just had this overwhelming sense of what the hell are we doing to our individual bodies, and we have to be more kind on ourselves. And I think because Rosa in particular was having such a strong mindset to get to where she was, it was a very hard shell to crack. And I think all of a sudden her walls fell down, and so did mine. And that's when we actually talked about what we'd been through and what we wanted and how we saw our future. And I think that was the point where we actually talked about it and decided that, a lot of other women and people in general are going through this. So let's create something to help educate people for the better.
So did you make the lifestyle changes, or was actually the business a catalyst for the lifestyle changes?
I think a big part of why, for us, was actually creating a lifestyle that we deserved ourselves first before we became those role models to then help educate others. That was a big thing for us. And also, I think something that helped us really early on in those stages of recovery when we were creating those great habits, knowing that we were role models for other people was a driver for us to keep ourselves well and to look after ourselves, because people are looking at us and wanting to do what we're doing. But I always believe you can't tell someone to do something if you're not implementing it yourself and preaching to them, this is what you should be doing and this is how you should do it. If you're not doing it, then what's the point?
I mean, it's a big enough thing in people's lives to make big changes around diet and lifestyle. And then another thing, again, to start a business. I mean, how did that work? Was there a lot of stress and pressure in the logistics of the business side of things? Did you know how to get started? You said you hadn't really studied business particularly.
Rosa studied nutrition, so Rosa's a qualified nutritionist, but aside from that, I have never been to university, or we've both never studied anything business. And I think, again, being brought up in a family where money issues were never vocalized, I think we definitely started the business still feeling safe, like we were both living at home, so there was no financial pressure as such to succeed at a really fast rate. So I think we were quite naive when we started, and we just kind of started it on a whim thinking, oh, this could be a cool idea. So we spent a couple of years.
More a passion project.
For sure. And, that's what we say now. The business has always been built off our why and off our purpose of wanting to help people, and making money out of that now is just, a bonus, and now it's a business, and that's awesome. So you've got to run it, the money side of it and the passion side of it is equal. But, we kind of just started doing what we thought would be cool. And the first 2 to 3 years was a lot of saying yes to everything that came in our path and making money and then spending it or investing it on something else. So there wasn't, I wouldn't say profit, but
we weren't running, like we weren't a registered business. We weren't running like a proper business. We weren't GST registered and all that fun stuff. And then we pretty much got to a point where we were saying to ourselves, do we do this full time, and do we drop, because we had some part-time jobs on the side, like I was working in a cafe, I think you were working at the market still at that time, and we committed. And again, we were very lucky and fortunate to have the backing and support from our parents to help us here and there, but saying that, we did work some pretty, not that it's all about working long hours, but we did dedicate a lot of our time, effort, and our own personal money into the business to pretty much kick it off. And we were doing free workshops, so like we were doing free things here, there, and everywhere to businesses, to friends, to family. And then that's pretty much how it all escalated, and we created a brand that's become a household brand, that's become a nationwide brand, and now, into Australia and beyond. So it's definitely been, a lot of it's been word of mouth, I would say, and getting ourselves out there from the get-go. And we've always been quite, again, with our parents being like, well, it's not going to come to you. You've got to get out there and find the work. And that's exactly what we did from the start, really.
Is that why you do some of the extra things like the podcast? Is that, that's the marketing strategy, I guess, is just to put yourselves out there?
Yeah, for sure. It's all part of the sales funnel when it comes to educating people, and from a business perspective, leading them down to a final step of purchasing a product of ours. But yeah, the podcast is top of sales funnel brand awareness.
Look, a big part of Two Raw Sisters is making healthy food affordable, because sometimes, the healthier stuff is just sort of seems unattainable to people. How did you put that idea together? What's gone into that thinking?
I think a lot of people, barriers to healthy eating are time too expensive, don't know what to cook. And they were the solutions that Margot and I needed to solve for everyone out there. So that's where cookbooks app, we wanted to give people cost-effective recipes using everyday pantry staples, showing people how to make recipes using what's in season and how to cook those seasonal fruits and veggies. And then we wanted to create a range of recipes that had different time frames that people could go to depending on, if they're rushing through the door and dinner needs to be on the table in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or they've got all weekend to create a delicious long lunch for some friends and family. And then what do I cook? That's everyone's question every single day. They're at work, they're thinking, what the hell's for dinner tonight? Oh shit, I didn't pull the chicken out of the freezer. It's giving people a whole array of recipes that suit dietary requirements. As I said, timings, seasonal recipes that people can go to and scroll through and get inspiration from immediately.
There are lots of barriers to entry with food, especially eating well, and we say everything in moderation, but I think the cost piece is one of the main ones. So it's just showing people, that they can eat cost effectively.
Sure. Are there any tips you'd have for people actually making, it's sort of like the first step, like kind of, people often have in their mind that this is something they're going to do. They're going to sort out their, the way they're eating.
Yeah. I love your whole philosophy, but I just don't think I'll get round to it. And I'm like, just that my answer to that is just start small. So whether that's, for example, breakfast, majority of people, unless they've met the two Ross sisters, make their breakfast every single morning. They might make some porridge up, or they might put some muesli in a bowl. And we say, right, let's teach you how to be intelligently lazy. We'll start with the breakfast first. Make a big batch of breakfast on a Sunday, times it by 5 to 7. So you've got 5 to 7 servings, and then you've got your breakfast sorted. It'll take the same amount of time to make one batch of something compared to making double or triple the batch.
And that's where the money side of it comes in as well. You're organised, you're prepared, rather than not being prepared, and then you go to the cafe and you buy the scone and the coffee, or you buy the big cooked breakfast at the cafe that's $30. So it's just about being organised and making food a priority.
It's like work lunches too. That's a classic money sucker for people. Again, $20 to $30 at least, and you could spend half an hour on a Sunday making a nice big salad that will last 3 to 4 days in your fridge, and you've got that sorted. And it's something that makes us feel great as well. And for me, preparing my breakfast or my work lunch for the week brings me success, and I feel like I've achieved something. And I don't think, unless you've tried it or you've given it a go, you don't know what that feels like. You think, oh, that's too hard, or oh, it's easier just to buy my lunch.
Rosa, am I right? You've recently become a mum. Is that
I have.
Changed your attitude to money?
Yeah, definitely. Has it actually? I've realised how expensive nappies are, and formula and wipes. But no, I suppose for me, it's another person to feed in a household. So you've got to take that into consideration in terms of the grocery bill. Probably rather than money, it's been more of a time perspective on things and what's important versus not what isn't important. I wouldn't say so much the money side of things.
She's really eating yet.
No, she's not really eating. But saying that,
more
she's
expensive.
But then there's always things popping up, like she grew out of her car seat, so there was $500 that had to be spent on a car seat, and then all of the clothes, they grow out of their clothes so quickly, whereas we can have our clothes for ages, and she's just jumped into her 6 to 12 month clothes, and I've got to buy her a whole new wardrobe. And I just went and we went to the farmer's sale, and I spent $200, and I was thinking, oh my God, I've just spent $200 on her wardrobe. That's just not cheap. And for the everyday person, I'm fortunate enough to not have to necessarily worry about budgeting on that side of things. But for a lot of people, that's a lot of money in the weekly wage. And as I said, things like nappies and wipes and formula, that's a whole nother thing to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to a few people about this, usually in the art side of things, but what you're doing is similar in the sense that you've you're putting your own personal life out there and essentially building a brand around your own story. How do you find the juggling act there? Do you keep a separate line between what goes out there and what's part of the business and part of the brand?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a tricky, well, not a tricky one. You can be quite cutthroat with that. And I think a big thing is respecting your other half. And for me, having a daughter now, like I don't show her face on Instagram because I don't want her to get to a point later on in life and she's just been shown to 200,000 people that she doesn't even have a clue, and I don't even have a clue who majority of those people are. And as I said, with our partners, they don't want to have their whole personal life spread over social media. They want to have some things kept to themselves and between us two and between Margot and Will as well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that line, and when you are the brand and you are the business, that can be hard to do. So I think for us, it's that digital detox on the weekend is really important.
I feel like though when you're not sharing something, you feel guilty for not sharing it and think, oh gosh, like I should take a photo here, but then a voice
is good content.
is telling you in your head, just put your phone away, like just enjoy the moment. You don't have to share this. Like people don't need to know everything about what's happening in your life.
And so people always care. You always think people care more than they do.
I think, I was saying around there's that push and pull where if you're not doing something or showing something, you feel guilty for not showing it, and all you're thinking about is, I should just take a photo, but then you're saying just enjoy the moment, it's fine, not everything needs to be shown on social media. So it's hard.
You always think people care more than what they actually do. No one cares if they haven't heard from you in a couple of days.
Yeah, and is there a kind of strength to putting it out there when you think about it in terms of like, the illness stuff that you guys have been through, sharing that, does that sort of, have its own value?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the other part of it that is hard, because when you're feeling vulnerable, you feel like you should be sharing that and showing that vulnerable side of yourself, but that's the last thing you feel like doing. So it's just finding that balance. And I think if we always say if we're not in the mood to do it, then we feel like it's not genuine content, because we always we pride ourselves on being very authentic and very genuine when it comes to social media. You get what you get with us. We don't sugarcoat anything. So we always say, if you feel like it, put it up. If you don't feel like it, don't do it.
Or you might just want to video yourself and you might feel like putting it up later. If you don't, then just don't put it up.
Okay, I've got some quick fire questions about money here. I'll rattle through, starting with what's the poorest you've ever been?
Oh, what's the poorest? When I bought my first house.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
when I figured out what a mortgage was.
Yeah, when I was flatting.
And so just in terms of especially buying a house, is it just cash flow?
Yeah. I was overthinking the whole thing, and I was absolutely fine, but it's just that daunting idea of having all this money that you getting lent from the bank
and then having to pay it back every week.
Yeah. What is the most indulgent purchase that you've ever made?
Oh, I've just renovated my house, so that's pretty indulgent.
That's not cheap.
Yeah, probably my most indulgent, probably when I purchased my house. I felt very, this is a grown-up thing to do.
What would be the best piece of financial advice you've ever received?
Pay off, just keep on top of, debt repayment. That's what my husband teaches me. He's good with that.
I always like having savings in a term deposit so that if shit hits the fan, you've got some backup. Things go wrong.
Makes a lot of sense. If you two could go back in time, is there one thing you'd change about your career or your money habits?
Be more business savvy from a younger age.
Be more around cash flow, GST.
To give everyone an insight, we didn't know what a cash flow was until about 2.5 years ago. So, I think just understanding the basics of a business, know your numbers.
So you've really learnt that on the job, really, as you've gone through.
On the job, well and truly.
A quick question I've thrown in for you guys. What is your favourite cheap meal?
Ooh.
Great question.
I love a pad thai, rice noodles, veggies, a quick teriyaki sauce with some soy sauce, sesame oil, ginger, garlic. Yum.
Mine recently we've got a delicious recipe on our app called brothy ginger rice. So it's like a yum chicken broth with white rice, roasted cabbage, and some chicken. So yum.
Yum. Yum.
Sounds great. Is making money important to you, or is it more a byproduct of success?
I think for me, my success will always be led by my why and my purpose, and money is a byproduct of that gives me the freedom to have the lifestyle that I would like, and the freedom to not stress about money, which is a very
driver.
Yeah, but my passion and my why for helping people will always come first.
I'm not going to lie, I'm definitely driven by money.
Sure. I mean,
And I think that's okay as well.
As a motivator.
But also a big part of me is, big part of my success is passion, having fun, and just enjoying what I do.
do you have big goals and aims for the business? You know, it's doing really well, but do you sort of go, oh, we're there now, or do you just want to grow and grow?
No, well, I think you always think you can be doing better than, you think, oh, this is our goal, we've reached it, but, there's always more. So we're really trying to push for international markets at the moment. So Australia, UK, US is our next port of call.
Exciting. Yeah. Look, one last question, really. If we could make you Prime Minister for a day and you could solve some of the country's problems.
We wouldn't recommend that.
Well, normally it's about sort of, addressing inequality and economic equity, that sort of thing. But I just wondered, are you thinking food security, access? What's something that you would tackle if you were given the power for a day?
I think that there's a lot of work that's needed in educating people on, you could buy a big bag of white rice and here's all the different things that you can do with that big bag of white rice, whereas a lot of people, especially in that lower socioeconomic area, would probably look at it and be like, oh, it's cheaper to go and buy fish and chips or buy that burger.
But that's just food education, which is what you're saying.
I'd love to be able to educate or have people be able to access food education, simple, cost-effective food education.
We do a tour with Life Education Trust and we go around schools across the country and we focus on the specific lower decile schools and teach these children, as Rosa was saying, how to cook with these cheap ingredients, but ingredients that are minimally processed.
Not just children as well, though. It's that the parents of these children who are actually putting the food on the table for them, or making their lunches or making their breakfast if they have breakfast before they go to school.
So it's kind of like financial literacy, but through a food lens, isn't it? I mean,
exactly,
for sure. I think,
and we all have to eat. So, and that's what the scary part is that there's pretty much next to none in terms of education out there for healthy eating, food, and also updated healthy eating. I feel like all the, 5+ a day healthy eating food pyramid is so outdated, and we just need a refresh in that area and for people to be able to access and just to become a bit more inspired and motivated again, because I think healthy eating has this outlook of being expensive, time-consuming and boring and just too hard.
Hey, look, guys, thanks so much for coming on Money Talks. Can we just maybe wrap up or give you a chance to give us a plug? Where can we find your resources, the app, the podcast, all that stuff?
Of course, you can find us on all social platforms. Just our handle is @2RawSisters. Our website has lots of great free recipes and resources for cost-effective healthy eating. It's 2RawSisters.com. And if you want to redeem a free 7-day trial on our app, we've got over 700 recipes on there. You can download that from any app store. You can purchase our cookbooks in any bookstore across the country. What else? And listen to our podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Great. That is a lot of variety out there. Thank you, Rosa and Margot, for coming on Money Talks. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Money Talks. If you want to get in touch, drop me a line at liam.dan@nzherald.co.nz, and you can read more from me at nzherald.co.nz. Thanks to my producer, Ethan Sills, and sound engineer, Adam Pamana. Follow Money Talks on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts, with new episodes available every Thursday. And if you are new to the podcast, you can check out our back catalogue with over 60 guests from across our seasons.